How's everyone doing this morning? Good. We did, we decided to do something this New Year's. We did a New York New Year's where midnight's at 9 o'clock. It was awesome. Went to bed. I'm officially old. Who stayed up till midnight? You guys are the true heroes. That's the way to do it. Did anyone watch New York's New Year's? Did anyone catch the Mariah Carey performance? I was trying to figure out a way to weave in a joke during worship, lip sync along to worship, and then my in-ears out. It was, if you didn't see it, it's trending on Twitter. It's pretty great. Her in-ears go out and she can't even lip sync to the song because she can't hear it, and it was pretty great. So I couldn't come up with a good joke to implement it, but I want to introduce you real quick to a friend of mine. This is Gordon. Gordon and his wife Leanne have moved up from San Francisco to help us and be a part of what we're doing. And his real heart is to figure out ways we can engage the community and really bless and be a part of the community outside of the church here in the Puyallup area. So you make him feel welcome. This is Gordon. Really excited about that. And you're going to hear more about Gordon next week, but I wanted to introduce him to you guys now, because we're both going to share a little bit now. Who here has been to a Whitewater service the week after Christmas before? So we've started kind of a tradition, and it started with George saying, hey, why don't we pass the mic around? And me saying, that's the worst idea ever. This is going to go so badly. And then it's ended up becoming, I think, probably my favorite service of the year. And it's just really awesome. And we kind of take time to hand the mic over to you guys, and we're going to share a little bit too. But just spend time looking back over the year and sharing ways that maybe Whitewater has impacted you guys' lives. This last year, what God's been doing in your life. It's really kind of a neat service. So I'm just going to start, and then I'm going to pass it to Gordon, and then we'll kind of open it up to you guys. I shared this a little bit ago, but I was born in Washington, but I don't feel like I'm a true Washingtonian. People that move here from warmer climates and they go, I love the rain. You guys were meant to be here. I hate the rain. I hate the cold. I love sun. I would move to California in a heartbeat. And we have some really dear friends down there, and we'll visit them at least once a year. And every time I go down, they're always just trying every angle to get me to move down and all that kind of stuff. It's so great down here. And I've never really seriously considered it, but you think about in the back head, what would that look like? Sun every day? It's like this every day? And I was flying back this last time. We flew back on Saturday, and then Sunday morning was here leading worship. And I had tears in my eyes the entire service. And I was just overwhelmed. It's funny, you go somewhere and you think, maybe this would be really cool. And then you're just reminded of how special what we have is. And I was just looking out in the audience, and I was just seeing friends and friendships that I wouldn't have had a year ago if I hadn't met you guys here at Whitewater, and seeing faces and knowing stories of what God's been doing. And I kind of had this moment of realizing that this is really special. What we have here is unique, and we've had a couple friends of mine who have moved off for school or just moved for different things. They've said, man, we've just really struggled to find something like Whitewater. We miss Whitewater. This is unique. What we have as a church and as a family, it really is a family, is really unique. And I'm just, for one, extremely thankful for it. My wife and I just feel like we're family. This is our family, and I can't imagine doing life without you guys. So that's what I'm really thankful for. Yeah, thanks, Joe. So I'm going to pass it off to Gordon here and let you get to know him.
Thank you. So having just moved from California, he shouldn't go. I'm happy to get out of the state myself. I spent 9 years in San Francisco with Leanne. Yeah, there's a lot of sun, and Leanne misses that, but I don't like the sun. I don't. As I was thinking through what I was thankful for, I don't know, I've met some of you, not enough of you. I am thankful. We came up here, the first time we came up here was the 9/11 weekend, and met some of you. And as we saw how you do life, how you are a family, we both said we'd love to be part of what's going on there. So it's you that has brought us here, just the way you guys conduct business. And then we just did this incredible Christmas Eve thing, and I met people that just rose way above normalcy. Jason with the snow, Agnes with bringing her kids. Josie made 180 Rice Krispies Christmas trees. I mean, there's just so many ways that this community wants to reach lost people. When we were thinking about where we should go, what we should do, George wrote me this text, and he said to read it to Leanne and see if it resonates. And the last line of the text said, "We will do anything short of sin to reach people." Man, I'm in. Like, I know where that line is, and I know how to cross it. So I am up for that challenge. But we're very excited to be here, and I'm really excited as Mike was explaining what this service is going to be and how you're thankful and how he gets to know you. I'm really anxious to hear your hearts and hear how Whitewater has affected you. So we'd just like to open it up. Ty and where are they?
Ty and Samantha right over here.
Oh, I didn't see them. Sorry. The light.
You just raise your hand up or stand up if you want to have something you want to share, and they'll get a mic to you. Does anybody have anything they want to share they're thankful for this last year, how Whitewater has impacted your life, or what God's been doing in your life maybe? Dorian, over here, do you want to, you can stand up or sit, or what? I stand up. Let's have people stand up. That's good.
For those that don't know me, my name is Adrian, and I'm thankful for Whitewater because it has been a family. I am alive because I am here. And there are too many people to count that have brought me back from the ledge more than once. And I have a home because of Whitewater. And I have a family because of Whitewater. And I just thank each and every one of you. And it's been a journey, and I can't wait for 2017.
Awesome. Anybody else? Right here.
Hi, my name's Greg. And this is my wife, Kay. We came in here, and maybe in a all too familiar story for a lot of people, that we were hurt by another church. We felt betrayed, and the actions of some humans at another church led us to go church shopping. And it probably been about a year we were doing that, and no matter what church we found, it was like I was dating again, but I couldn't get serious for whatever reason. And I could never pinpoint the reason, what it is, why I couldn't get serious. And we walked into here right at the perfect time, the series on leaving Egypt. And so my wife and I were sitting there, and we were able to identify what are some of those reasons that were holding us back from that promised land. And then the week that they had the cross up here, and we had the opportunity to actually physically write it down and leave it at the cross, I wrote some stuff down, and I walked up to that cross, and I left it there, and I realized in my hand was a pen from my old church. And so I dropped the pen at the bottom of the cross, and I looked over, and the sacraments for communion were right there. And I've never felt the relevance of the sacraments of communion so heavy in my life as that day right there. And I froze in between, and I looked at the cross, and I looked at the sacraments, and I says, I get to do that because of that. And my wife and I walked back here, and we sat right back here, and we just cried for about 5 minutes, knowing that we had just left Egypt and that we had walked into God's promised land. And so I thank you all for being so welcoming and giving us an opportunity to serve from day one, because we walked right into an opportunity to serve, and we got to help out with the foster kid outreach, and last week a little bit here. So it just feels good to have a church home again. Thanks to all of you guys.
I'm Joe. We've been going here for a couple of years, and I'm not able to attend every Sunday, but I so look forward to being here with family when I'm in town. I'm 70 years old, but in this family, I'm a child, and I feel loved.
Joe is one of those guys. In Ecclesiastes 3, it says, don't forget the Creator while you're young. He'll always be young. Tim will always be young, being Santa. There are young people here that are making this a wonderful experience.
Hi, I'm Eric. This is my wife, Whitney. We're military, and we move around a lot. And coming up here, a place where you can belong before you believe, and that's true in this house. We made a lot of friends, and always look forward to helping out and doing stuff, especially with the foster children. And it's just amazing how far the hand of this church reaches out and grabs people. So that's it.
Hi there. My name's Colton, and this is my wife, Maggie. We've been going to Whitewater for 3-ish some years. And Michael and Kenny introduced us at a bar, and it was awesome. It was just fantastic, and we've never looked back. We moved from Montana, and we used to go to kind of off and on this church in Montana, and we never really got a good feeling there, and we thought, this is what church is like. It's kind of boring. People aren't very cool. And we came here and we thought, man, this is really something. This is awesome. Everyone's welcoming. Everyone's having a great time. You know, everyone's lifting each other up all the time. It's fantastic. So we just recently, for Christmas, went back to visit family in Montana. And we thought, we're going to miss Christmas Eve service at Whitewater. We were really bummed. But some of our close friends go to a church in Missoula, and it happens to be the same one we used to go to. So we thought, okay, you know, we'll humor the idea. We'll go hang out with them and go to their church. And so we went there, and we walk in, and I'm not downing on this church. I'm sure it works for people, not for me. But we walk in, no one says hello, no one looks at you. Montana's generally a very friendly place, and you sit down, and they gave you one of those services that are kind of like if you don't do this, you know, you're a bad person, and you know you're going to. I was like, what's going on here? This isn't a belong before you believe church. This is a set of rules, and if you don't fit, you don't make it. And I thought, we are so blessed to have a church like Whitewater that doesn't set boundaries. You know, everyone is welcome all the time. Doesn't matter where you are on your journey. That everyone wants you to win. And when we just came back, we just sat down and thought, we have to share this with people, that this is so unique. It's not like any other church around, at least that we've been to, which is a small sample. But we're here to stay. It's amazing. Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm being pressured by my wife to talk. So I'm Jake. This is my wife, Jennifer, and our 4-month-old Reeve. Our almost 5-year-old is upstairs. We just moved up here from Southern California. In June, we just bought a house up here. We were at a church in Southern California that was just kind of big. It was very large, 1 million people, not 1 million, but a couple thousand people every weekend would go to these services, and I could get up and talk and leave, and no one would know who I was or make time to like say hey or whatever. So that connection was there, but it wasn't really there with the people. It's like a 40-year-old church, so they're super good at taking care of people who've been there for 10 plus years, and not super great at welcoming people who don't know Christ or who don't necessarily believe what they believe. And that's kind of my experience with a lot of big churches, that they take care of their own. And when new people come, it's great, but they don't really seek that out. So I made it a point for our family to look across the country to see where we could move, where people had this kind of practice going on. And I found a guy named John Kelly, who some of you probably know. And he became someone who we connected. And I came up here to work for Freedom Hill. And we visited in March and went home later that day knowing that we were leaving, because we got to see how life was done here. We got to see how they did life with people that they were in community with and all of that stuff. Michael was one of the first people that I ever met coming up here, which is awesome. And, you know, we came up here for that reason, to help grow that church and to help be here for that. And as some of you know, that didn't necessarily work out. But that's what led us here. That's what led us to Whitewater. And we are so proud to call this our church home. We're pumped to be here. And I think that God puts you in places for reasons that you think are going to kind of grow into bigger things. And then all of a sudden you realize that you're here for a million other reasons that you didn't necessarily see coming. And none of this we really saw coming. So we're happy to be here. Yeah, it's great.
When your children ask you which one do you love more, you usually say, well, I love you the same, but I love this side more.
Hi, my name is John. My wife and I moved here 2 years ago from Central Oahu. And before that, I was in the military for 9 years. I was planning on retiring, plans. I got out. I moved to Galveston, Texas, in the hopes of getting involved in the oil business. I ended up smoking a lot of weed and all that good stuff out there and just kind of being a beach bum and surfing all the time. I was watching videos on the computer, music videos, and this band came on. And I told my wife, I said, hey, we got to move to Hawaii right now. So we took our savings, whatever we had left, and we jumped up and we moved to Hawaii and started going, just hanging out. We had no money, we had no furniture, we had no food. So we were sitting in our apartment on the floor, and which is where we were living. It was pretty common there to see people doing that. We started trying to find something to do, so we walked down and started going to this church. And I got enrolled into a school program through the GI Bill to build boats in Hawaii. And the instructor there was from Washington, and he started talking about how there's not really any jobs in Hawaii for that field of business for someone starting out. And he recommended a school in Seattle. So I started looking into it. And at the same time that happened, my daughter called me on the phone and said they were planning on moving to Washington, which was really random. So I told my wife, I was like, hey, I think maybe God's pushing us to go to Washington. So we had just started getting on our feet. We just had food. We just had furniture. And I said, forget this. We gave it all away. We jumped up and we moved here. We had never been to this part before. I was stationed in Port Angeles for 2 years. But we had never been out here before. And a friend of my wife's, who she was in the Air Force with, recommended Puyallup as a good neighborhood. So we got into a place. We got with a crazy landlord. We ended up moving. Now we move into another house that's a little bit closer. It's close to here. It's like I walk here a lot. And the long story short is we had bought tickets back to Hawaii because we were like, Washington, too cold. But bought tickets back to Hawaii. We're sitting in church. You know, we had I think a week before we were supposed to leave. My son had just, I got custody of my son. I have 5 kids total. And we're getting ready to move to Hawaii. And we're sitting in here. And I was like, something's not right. And we're still here. We stayed. And I'm quiet. I don't talk to too many people. I'm kind of, I don't know, paranoid maybe. But the long story short is, I think when you find the right place, you kind of got to stop running. I'm a runner, so. Thank you.
Hello. Just checking it was working. My wife's probably thinking, what are you doing right now? Sit down now. This is my wife, Anastasia, my mother-in-law, Nancy. Just wanted to get up and a couple of reasons why. One, I'm thankful for Whitewater, and two, why I think this place is awesome. As you can tell, I'm not from this area, from England. Yep. What I'm about to say probably isn't going to make you too thrilled, but when you were a kid in England, there was 2 things you did on a Sunday morning. It was, one, you would either go to church, and you usually went because you go to Sunday school and got biscuits and juice, or you would play football. I did church for a bit, and then football, the real football, all of a sudden took over my life. So one of the things I really like about church, and especially Whitewater, is how fun you guys make it. You know, I just went home for Christmas to visit my family, and I was trying to explain to my dad, you know, Dad, you'd love this place. They have guitars, they have drums, and he was like, what? You know, they have what? I said, yeah, it's a really cool experience. Everyone's really welcoming. Everyone stands up and sings and dances, and he was blown away because church services in England aren't quite like that. It's shirt and tie, and it's usually an organ, and so I'm really thankful for that because I think it's really cool. You guys make coming to church fun. I know the real reason why we're here, but it's a very fun experience. And then the second thing is I work so much at the weekends that I don't get to spend as much time with my wife and my son. So I know she has been shopping for church and she hasn't been ready to commit to somewhere. And then one day I came home and she just said, I found the best place ever. And I'm just really thankful that you welcomed her in and my son. And, you know, you guys made her feel welcome, which makes me very happy. And then I've just had a blast since I've been here as well. So thank you. Thank you very much.
My name is Whitney. As my husband said, we're military. I'm in the Air Force. Last year I did a 7-month deployment to Africa. And I'm thankful for this place, for the sense of family, especially the small group community that took my husband in. A week after I left was his birthday. And they took him out to eat, and they kept him busy while I was gone. I was gone over like September through April. So through the holidays, and he's up here by himself. Our family is in Florida and Georgia. So they kept him busy while I was gone and involved, and I'm just thankful for the small group family.
This corner is dominating right now, guys. Anybody else? Anybody in the far back corner over here? We got Lucas.
Hi there, my name's Lucas, and 2016 was definitely a tumultuous year for me. About halfway through it, kind of had something that really shook me to the core, and thought the only thing that I could rely on was God, but He surprised me with just the sheer amount of people from this church who came and supported me, offered me wisdom, friendship, advice, everything, and they have continued to do that since then. And so mid-year really took a hit, but He surprised me with you guys and everyone, and being involved with worship, I can't even describe how much it helped me just get closer to Him and just to kind of let go and have fun a little bit too, even when life was hard. But I wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for you guys. I wouldn't be in the relationship that I'm in if it weren't for you guys bringing her here and just showing her it's a belong before you believe kind of church, especially with that Leave It in Egypt series, and just can't imagine where I would be without you guys. But yeah, just thank you for everything.
One of my favorite moments of 2016 was when George asked everyone a really serious question, and then someone's cell phone went off, and it was like they had the cricket sound as the ringer. You remember that? You can't make that stuff up. Anybody else? Anyone else want anything they want to share? They're thankful for something God's done in your life this year. How you found Whitewater? Right over here. This corner. Come on.
Anyway, my name is Sandy, and I am just so grateful for my dear friend Joan and Greg, and for about last 5 years after being married for 21 years, and at times I found myself homeless, and in 5 years I have moved 10 times. And my dear friend Joan, who's my feel like she's my soulmate. She have opened her home to me, and I am just so grateful for their wonderful family. I mean, what an example they are, and they have their children. I just love every one of her children, and I feel like they're my children too. I get to enjoy them without giving birth to them. But God's been gracious, and each time I moved, and I feel like I was so broken, and I asked the Lord, I don't know if I could do this anymore. And my friend saw that brokenness and said, you're not moving anymore until you could find a permanent home on earth. But I am so look forward to when I do get to have a permanent home with our Savior, and I don't ever have to move again. And I praise God for the Consman family and for this church, and I wish my son had a Sunday off so he could, get to come here and worship, and I'm really praying that God would just bring him back. And anyway, thank you.
Got one back, right back here.
So my story starts at Emmanuel. That's my family church where I grew up. And I remember when you guys were at PHS, I saw your signs, I saw you guys, and I was just thinking, who are these people? What is going on? They're just across the way. Fast forward to 4 months ago, Evan invited me and showed me who you guys are all about, what you guys are all about, and I fell in love with the place. Little did I know that he would be a catalyst to a big change in my family. My dad started coming back to church. He's involved in a community group now. Christmas Eve service, my grandma came. She's Buddhist now. She grew up Catholic, and she converted because of a lot of issues she had with the church, the strictness, and some issues with her pastor. But she came to the Christmas Eve service and loved it, and she started raving about how she sees good in this church. She sees how it's different. Because one bone she has to pick with a lot of churches is that they put their money in the wrong places. And she thinks this is a really humble church, just not only in where we are, but watching the video about one child. So that was a really good impression on her. And I think that a big thing this church does is plant seeds. And in a broken world, I feel that we need less persecuting and more recruiting. And I think this church is doing that.
One for this side. One.
Hi, everybody. I'm Josh, and this is my wife, Amanda. And about 5-6 years ago, I first went to Whitewater when it was way out towards Graham at Frederickson Elementary School, and moved down to Southern California to go to college, and that's where I met Amanda. And over the course of those 4 years, we tried finding a few churches down there, and for whatever reason, we just never really clicked with one. Everyone we went to, we just didn't feel a connection with. And the entire time that I was down there, that we were down there, I was telling Amanda, there's this church back home called Whitewater that I just really, really love going to, and I really want us to go there when we move back up. And Amanda's from California. So almost a year ago from today, a year and a month or so, we came back up and started coming here. And we just got married in this past August. And it was just, Whitewater's been a really neat place for us as far as growing our relationship. Because, even coming back up and, me saying, hey, I want to go to this church, and Amanda being supportive of that. Once we started coming here, Amanda was actually the one who really kind of encouraged me and encouraged us to start getting involved in the Magby's community group and helping out in nursery. And it's just really been a great journey for us over the past year that we've been back up here coming to Whitewater, and it just feels really good to be home and to be back in a place that, something just captured me, 6 years ago. So it's great to be back here.
Back left corner, way back there.
I'm Aubrey, if you didn't know, and hopefully I can make this short, but I graduated college in 2009, and I came back here and just started going to Bethany, which is where I went before college, and it was comfortable, and I thought, okay, this is fine, and a friend of mine said, hey, we're starting a church plant that's meeting in a house right now. Do you want to come help me with worship? And I was like, that seems risky, but all right. So I sort of started helping her out with the intention that I was going to help her, but stay where I was comfortable. So I went to one of the meetings at the house, and then the next week we went to Frederickson Elementary, and it stuck, and I just never really went back to Bethany. I just kept going to Whitewater, and we became like a little family. We were all very close-knit. I could look around and tell you every single person's name. And it was just really different because the church I came from, people were asking me if it was my first time. And I went there since I was 14. So I was like, no, it's not my first time here. So at this church, I've seen so much growth. It's been incredible to experience it from the beginning. I've seen reconciliation and experienced reconciliation I never thought I would. I've seen people become friends I never thought would talk to each other. I've seen broken relationships be mended. And I've been a Christian since I was 3. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. I met my husband at Whitewater. I watched my husband be baptized at Whitewater. It's incredible. And it's all because of the faithfulness of leadership to step out and take that risk. And I'm so grateful for that. And as I look around the room now, I can't tell you everybody's name. There are people here maybe I'm seeing for the first time today, and I want you to know that that's the dream. That it's not that I know every single person, and I do want to build relationships with people, but the fact that I can look around here and not know everyone tells me that we're doing something right. And I'm so grateful for that.
I'm Katie. Normally I wouldn't do this. This is weird. But like a lot of people, I moved here from out of state like 2 years ago. And so I spent a lot of the year of 2015 like trying to get settled into the area. I didn't know anyone and trying to find a church. And it was just a really tough time. But from the first time I came to Whitewater, people were just really welcoming and inviting. And just this past year, have started to make friends and get involved and just kind of get settled into the community. And Whitewater has just made like Puyallup and Washington home for me.
Time for just a few more. Yeah, well, let's just start pointing at people. On this side, though.
Oh, wow, there are a lot of eyes all of a sudden. Okay. I'm Summer. I've been going here for a couple months. Yeah, something like that. At the Leave It in Egypt series, like right at the very beginning, too. It was weird. I grew up in a really strong Christian home, and actually was driven away by a church. So not only was I just like church searching, but I actually became more of an atheist and almost more of an antichrist than I was a Christian in a very Christian home. And there was just a lot of anger and a lot of just anger towards God, anger towards Christians in general, over the course of about 5 years. And I met Lucas at work, and he convinced me, because he wouldn't play the trumpet for me at all, convinced me to go to this church. And I was just kind of like, okay, well, either one of two things are going to happen. I'm either going to like burst into flames and hell is going to open up in the middle of the floor, or I'm going to be like ravaged by people with pitchforks and fire. So those were my like two options. He knew that. Went with my grandfather. He and I have coffee every Sunday. Popped in. Didn't even stay for the sermon. I literally just came in, watched him play music, and then left. But slowly and surely, I sort of started coming, staying, started talking to people. People were really nice. I really thought it was just some sort of facade, but started to realize that this is just how Whitewater is. And, you know, it was a church that drew me away from Christ and from God and from everything like that, but it was also this church that brought me back to Christ and back to God stronger than I ever have. So that's a really cool thing for me. Yeah.
We have time for probably one more.
So I'm definitely thankful for this church in the aspect of when me and my wife, Amanda, and everybody first moved here, there's a lot of question marks for kind of what Washington was going to be in store for us. And, you know, Jason Thompson invited us to come to the church, I think, in like October-ish. And Amanda at first kind of like, I'm not really feeling it too much. And so we didn't come. And then I was kind of like, hey, we need to jump back into it. And we went again in January, and something just kind of like clicked. And she wanted to come back. And I think once we joined our community group with the Wilbers and Scott and the Singletons and everybody, it kind of, made it way more like we belonged. And that's kind of like was the big thing that like we really enjoyed about this church and the people here was making us feel like we belonged. And I think with Jason kind of helped guide us, you know, and coming here and everything like that. And it's been amazing because the transformation it's made in my life and my wife's life and our family since we've been here in literally the last year was a big deal because we were coming from a really rough year before to probably the most amazing year we've probably had in a long time. So I want to say thanks to the church, thanks to the Wilbers, Scott, and everybody else that's made us feel super welcome in this last year since we've been here.
So it's January 1st. We're all thinking possibly of maybe goals or resolutions you have or things that you'd like to do differently, or maybe you want to have a greater year even than that amazing year you had last year. One of the things that I think would be really interesting, we've all seen the YouTube video where someone at Starbucks pays it forward and then they pay it forward, and how long can that go? I wonder if, as a goal, we as Whitewater, the feelings that we heard today, the circumstances that brought you here, that get you to stay here, could you pay that forward again this year so that everybody comes in here? They don't even talk to people. When they enter the environment, they say, something's different here. It would be amazing. We can do that. Let's pay it forward as we think about this next year.